Welcome to ShaggyShane's Kansas City Chiefs mock draft. The second year in a row. The second year in a row to the date, April 22nd, 2018. Once again, my guest to my left is none other than Lance Twidwell of The Spoken. I called a hold of Lance 5-6 years ago when he was a guest on 610 Sports, The Practice Squad. He also was the man on KWJP 89.7 talking all sports in Paola, Kansas. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Lance Twidwell. What's going on, brother?
What's up? Before I say hi to you guys, I wanted to address that I really love that Demarcus Robinson jersey he's got on right now. That new number 11, I don't know if you guys knew, he switched his jersey number for Sammy Watkins, or unofficially for Sammy Watkins. But I just wanted to address that. I think that number 11 looks really good on you, man.
Thank you very much. Yes, this jersey is Demarcus Robinson, the man who already built his rapport with Patrick Mahomes. He is number 11 in your programs, number 2 in your hearts, behind Patrick Mahomes, the number 1 receiver of the Kansas City Chiefs. I know you may say, hey, wait a minute, Shaggy. They got Tyreek Hill, Mr. Speed, on the outside. They gave a crap ton of money to Sammy Watkins. My favorite Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver going into the 2018 season, number 11, Demarcus Robinson.
Best number 11 we've ever had.
Heck yeah, buddy. All right, with that being said, Lance, 1 year ago today, as I mentioned, we sat here and demanded and commanded that the Chiefs address the quarterback issue in the first round. I think John Dorsey heard us. I think Brett Beach heard us. I think Andy Reid heard us. But I believe most of all, Clark Hunt and Chiefs Kingdom heard us. What can you say about 1 year ago today and where we have came as Chiefs Kingdom in a year?
I was having cold sweats and hot sweats at the same time. I was sweating bullets. Shane was the one calming me down. He said, man, I have a feeling. I just have a feeling they're going to do it. And as much as I wanted to believe what Shane was saying, I remember just texting him back. I was like, I just hope you're right, man. Yeah, it was the first thing in the morning, man. He's hitting me up, and I was like, God, I just hope Shane's right, because, you know, he's always the more positive one between us two. And I'm sitting here going, man, I want to be as positive as you, but just the history and the time and my whole lifetime of being a Chiefs fan, I didn't see it coming. And that night, man, to this day, I can't put words on it as to what that made me feel like. The jubilation, I guess, there's a word for it. It was surreal. It was euphoric. And now we're here a year later talking about how much closer we are to winning Super Bowls. So.
Heck yeah, buddy. With that being said, before we can get to our mock draft, we have to talk what the Kansas City Chiefs did in free agency. 6 weeks ago, Lance, you and I sat here and we talked Kansas City Chiefs free agents. You know, a lot of things that we thought would happen didn't necessarily happen. But let's take a look at what the Kansas City Chiefs addressed right here and now. First and foremost, Sammy Watkins. What do you take about that signing?
Well, if you guys go back to our other video regarding what we wanted to do at wide receiver, I didn't have him on my board initially. I thought there was better guys out there like Jarvis Landry, even Allen Robinson, who I thought was a guy that had a lot of potential and a lot to prove after tearing his ACL back in 2015 or 2016. I didn't have Sammy Watkins high on my board. I didn't see enough from him. He's missed some time in his early career. But when I saw that the Chiefs signed him, of course my homerism came into play. But I really started to think about how there's no pressure on Sammy. I thought he's walking into the perfect situation. Granted, he's making a lot of money, but I think his production is going to meet that dollar amount because of the fact that, like I said, that lack of pressure. Not only the lack of pressure, but he's got multiple guys around him. They're gonna move the defense in their direction. Tyreek Hill is going to take the top of the defense off every single time, which means the safeties are going to be drawn more to his side. Travis Kelce is going to bring those middle linebacker and those other corners that are going to be in the slot over his way. And then you're going to have Sammy Watkins with all that speed and ability on the other side. Mahomes is basically just going to lick his chops and choose which touchdown he wants to throw. And I think that's where Sammy Watkins plays. And he's still very young. He's got a lot to prove also. And I think that he's going to really produce, guys. I think that was a slam dunk when it comes to it. I think that's going to be a big signing for the Chiefs.
So going into the season, going into training camp, it's going to be Sammy Watkins on one side, Tyreek Hill on the other, and Demarcus Robinson in the slot. Those are the top 3 wide receivers I have going forward. Or do you think they'll mix it up and have Robinson and Watkins on the outside and Tyreek Hill in the slot? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the versatility is there because I think Tyreek Hill can do a lot. I mean, he even started out as a running back, so you might even see him in the backfield every once in a while just to throw the defense off. We know how Andy Reid is. He loves to get creative, sometimes to a fault. So I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to keep it in basic format. I think there's going to be a lot of moving parts. You might even see Sammy Watkins doing some crazy stuff out of the backfield. Who knows, guys? The way I see it, this offense is as good as they want it to be. I think as Andy Reid, I think this is the best, most talented offense he's ever had as a head coach, and I say that very confidently. I don't think in any team in Philadelphia he's had the type of talent that he has right now in Kansas City, especially when you consider the young, coming, budding star in Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah!
I think when you consider that, this is by far the most talented offense he's ever had, so I'm not going to put any limits on what they can do.
What's that mean for the rest of the depth chart? Everybody says don't count out Chris Conley, don't count out J.U. Chesson, don't count out D'Anthony Thomas. I think the sky's the limit for the wide receivers, but I'm already on the Demarcus Robinson bandwagon. He should win a Oscar for his role in Curse of the Kingdom, Rise of Mahomes. Is what, the most open wide receiver in that film? Yeah. Check out Curse of the Kingdom, Rise of Mahomes, and see Demarcus Robinson's role in that film. He's always open. He's always the man. But getting back to my point on these wide receivers, what do you think that means for Chris Conley, who was injured week 5, who on the roster as well as J.U. Chesson and D'Anthony Thomas?
Well, as far as Chris Conley in particular, I think the team really likes him, and I think he does have some promise. He's more of a possessions type of receiver. If I was to compare him to somebody offhand, I think he's more of like a Keyshawn Johnson style of player where he's going to get those 5-yard slants. He's going to be that kind of guy, so I think he has a place on this team. Do I pick him above those other guys we mentioned? No, because of the injury, and I think these other guys are more talented than he is. Having said that, I think Chris Conley could be that dark horse, that guy that, wow, I can't believe he ended up with 650 yards this year. Like, I didn't see that coming. I think he could be that guy, really to determining how he comes back from that said injury. Still a young guy, very smart kid. That's what I really like about Conley. He's a very smart guy. And I think if he works hard enough, I think he finds himself on this team. Chesson and D'Anthony Thomas, I think they're kind of like those cherry on the top special teams type guys. I think they have a spot on this team. Do I think they're going to get a lot of highlight showcased opportunities in the offense? No, I don't. I think D'Anthony Thomas is very quick, very agile, but I don't think he's got a real true place on this team. When they drafted Tyreek Hill, that's when I knew that D'Anthony Thomas wasn't really going to be anything important on this team. Could be wrong, but I see him and Chesson as more of a special teams type guy.
Sticking with the offense, the Kansas City Chiefs signed free agent running back Kerwin Williams and free agent running back Damian Williams. No relation to each other and no relation to me.
Maybe. We'll find out. Well, ancestry. Let's do it.
What's that mean for Charkandrick West and Spencer Ware? In my opinion, this is my take. I know you talked to Spencer Ware last week, but this is my take on the situation. I think it spells the end of the road for Charkandrick West. I believe that they feel Spencer Ware could start the season on the physically unable to perform list, the PUP, and they're going to have the Williams duo back up Kareem Hunt. What's your take on that, and what can you say about Spencer Ware?
When I first heard of the signings, I thought more just camp body type of guys. I didn't think that they were real threats. But as I thought about it, you know, there is a legit opportunity. And this, first of all, let me just say, this is a great problem to have when you're coming into camp and you're having too many running backs. That's a good problem to have. It's better to have that than being thin and just relying on 2 guys. Let's just get it out of the way. Spencer Ware is safe. 100% believe he is healthy, ready to go. I did talk to him this last week or so, and he's very confident he's going to have an important role on this team. I fully expect him to be a very, very complimentary back, and he's going to get a lot of touches this season. That is my belief. It takes a lot of pressure off Kareem Hunt, because Kareem Hunt did not have that luxury behind him last season. So they're definitely going to be using a lot of Spencer Ware. But as far as the Williams guys are concerned, I think they're really going to have to prove their worth on this team, because whether Charkandrick is a great back or not, Charkandrick West has been around as long as he has with Kansas City for a particular reason. And that's because he does perform at a lot of times in ways that you don't expect him to. There was a lot of times in 2016 that I didn't expect Charkandrick to play the way he did, and he shined. He shined very well, and I think that he's the type of guy that can come in with the motivation, the drive to make some noise. Do I think he's going to get a lot of touches in first-string offense? No. I do not expect him to get a lot of touches. Do I expect him to make the team? Early set? Yes, I do. I expect Charkandrick to be on this team, which means one of the Williams guys probably won't. And whichever one it will be, we'll see this. We have a long way to go before that happens, but I fully expect to see Spencer Ware and Charkandrick West on this roster, no doubt.
That is definitely going to be a fun battle to watch in training camp. Me and Lance will be watching it. All right, let's get to the quarterbacks. We didn't even touch the quarterbacks in our free agency show.
That's a good problem to have right there. We don't have to talk quarterbacks, you know what I mean?
The Chiefs signed Chad Henne and Matt McGloin for 2nd and 3rd string. I like what I saw out of Matt McGloin as a rookie, because the Raiders were terrible, and they basically just threw him out on the field. He looked like a decent quarterback coming out of Penn State. Chad Henne, big, tall, lumbering quarterback, got a big, strong arm. What can you take from these two? Anything?
The only thing I can think of is I really hope we don't have to see these guys on the field in anything important. Any important games, no primetime games, no playoff games. Keep Pat healthy. That's all I'll say. More than just the fact of how amazing he's going to be this season, guys, which he's going to be. That's breaking news, I'm sure. But Chad Henne is a backup for a reason. I don't believe his talent matches his intelligence. I think he's a very smart guy. I've heard him talk. Interviews, he's really good. I think he's got all the wherewithal of how to become a good clipboard guy. But as far as a performer, no, not at all. So I wasn't big on the Chad Henne signing. I was looking more for a Matt Moore style guy or even a Josh McCown kind of guy who has a lot of experience and the knowledge. Chad Henne doesn't have a ton of experience on the field. He's been a backup for the majority of his career, and so I don't think it really hurts the Chiefs as far as Chad Henne is concerned. Matt McGloin, I don't really know. I think he's going to probably stay at that third position unless there's an injury in training camp for another team that's looking for a quarterback, and then maybe you could trade him. But I don't expect much from Matt McGloin. I think Chad Henne's comfortably at the number 2 spot and will for the full season.
All right, let's get to the defense. The defense moves in free agency. Anthony Hitchens, middle linebacker from the Dallas Cowboys, is now going to be in the 3-4 defense opposite of Reggie Ragland. What Brett Veach said is so important at the first press conference when talking about Anthony Hitchens. He said Reggie Ragland and Anthony Hitchens will be the starters in base 3-4 as well as the nickel. That is huge, ladies and gentlemen. That is huge because of the fact that when opposing defenses go to the nickel, that means the offenses are spreading them out. Anthony Hitchens, with Pro Football Focus last year, did not miss a tackle. Huge pickup, a huge addition to this team, and I love the fact that he can play nickel because previously in Bob Sutton's defense, when they spread the defense out, when they went to nickel, they either put in Daniel Sorensen or Ron Parker. With having an athletic linebacker like Reggie Ragland and Anthony Hitchens that can play in the nickel, that is huge because you don't have to use a safety in nickel situations. I want you to talk about Anthony Hitchens, what he means to the team, as well as what you can do with him in base and nickel, Lance. Yeah. What does that mean to you, and what do you think it means to this team?
Oh, it means a lot to me because there's a lot of needs on this defense. There's no doubt about it. This defense last year was 30th ranked for a reason, couldn't stop the run, and they had horrible third down efficiency. This defense has a lot to work on. And Anthony Hitchens, I'll be honest with you, as much as I think Sammy Watkins is going to bring to this offense, and I think he's going to be very productive numbers-wise, I think Anthony Hitchens might be the best free agent signing of the Chiefs this year because of how important his role is going to be for the team. Because if you take Sammy Watkins off this team, this offense is still going to be deadly as hell. So you're not going to, it's not like Sammy Watkins was a huge need. He was a very complimentary player at that. So Anthony Hitchens is very important. You're replacing a legend in Derek Johnson. It's unfair to him, but unfortunately that's the job, is he's the next guy up, and he's unfortunately right after DJ. So there's a lot of pressure on Anthony. I think he's the type of guy because of his age and his production at this point, and from what we've heard from the Cowboys and how much they love the guy, even though I've heard rumors they were trying to get rid of him, I do believe they really are going to miss him, and I think Hitchens is a guy that this defense is going to really rely on in big crunch moments in time, and I think he's going to rise to the occasion. I don't want to sound overly positive. That's not usually my nature, but I really believe that signing him, he was a big get, and I was very impressed with Veach for grabbing him away, and I think he's going to be that sleeper guy that a lot of people are going to be high on going into the season.
Right. Like I said, I love the fact that he could play in the nickel.
Yeah.
That is huge. That is huge because you don't have to have Sorensen or Ron Parker, who's not on the team anymore, out there. Hitchens is athletic enough to be out there on the field during those, obviously, base and the nickel situation. Sure. All right, let's talk about defensive lineman Xavier Williams. He was a restricted free agent. The Arizona Cardinals did not want to match the contract the Chiefs gave him.
Sure.
They had every right to do so. I like the pick. He's got a quick first step. He's from Kansas City. He's solid. He you know, like I said, what do you think about Xavier Williams?
Well, when we first talked about it, you texted me before I even heard about the news. And as soon as you texted me, I went and I started doing some research on that because I honestly didn't know a lot about him. From what I gathered, there's a lot of, you don't really know what to expect. He's still I think he's only a third-year defensive lineman to this point in his NFL career. He's very young, has a lot to prove. People don't really know what to make of his career to this point because he hasn't really done anything to stand out, nor has he done so badly that people don't want him. He's kind of in that in-between stage, and I think coming back home in a sense for him will motivate him to prove himself, and being on a young team He's going to feel a little bit more comfortable. He's not going to be around a ton of veteran players where he's not going to feel like, I'm overmatched here. I think he's going to come in feeling pretty comfortable, being around guys he can relate to, being in the same age range as he is. I think he has an opportunity here. I don't know what to expect, and I'm going to stay kind of in that middle ground with him because, like I said,
he's played 3 years. He's going into his 4th.
Right. So this will be his 4th season, and I think this is going to be that year where either we will see that this is the kind of guy you want to have around for the long term, or it was a good little try, nice little experiment with a guy that doesn't take a lot of risk and has a potential to be a high reward. So I'll just kind of leave it there, and I hope to see something big from him, but I don't see anything yet that makes me think this guy is going to be a team changer, defensive changer at this point.
And what do you think about Robert Goldman, Pittsburgh Steelers free safety, a special teams guy who's played some on defense last year? What do you think about the signing of Robert Goldman, free safety?
I think at this point we have to look at him as just an honest camp body. He's going to be a guy that comes in competing for a spot. I don't expect, same with Xavier Williams, I don't expect a ton from him as far as a starter going into the season.
Oh, I do.
He could fool me. I'm at the other side of this right now. Yeah. I don't expect a ton from him. Because of the fact this team needs a lot from that position, right, there is an opportunity for him, and he has a lot of opportunity in this coming into training camp.
Let me say something about Xavier Williams. I think they're going to depend a lot on him just because he was a restricted free agent. They had to have a better deal than Arizona. So
sure, the Chiefs have a lot of expectations. I think they have expectations. Do I? I don't have a ton of expectations from him. I don't expect him to be great. I hope he proves me wrong. That's where I'm standing with him. And same with the safety, Robert Goldman. I think that he has an opportunity to be a guy that's going to make noise in training camp to where fans are like, we need to start this guy week 1. I'm hoping that's the case.
I would look at Robert Goldman as a Ron Parker replacement.
I hope so. Because Ron Parker was that guy. Same thing. Nobody knew that Ron Parker was going to be a guy that he'd been started 3 seasons with the Chiefs. No one expected Ron Parker to be that guy. John Dorsey went out there, got him off the heat pile, and made him into something. I think that if Goldman can become that, that is an awesome move by Brett Veach.
And defensive tackle Stephon Charles, number 9. He's played 4 seasons, 3 with Buffalo, and the last year with the Detroit Lions. He has 5 career sacks. He had 3 career sacks in 2014 with Buffalo. What do you think about this side? Just camp body, or do you think somebody's going to have to make the team?
Man, that's the thing. These guys are playing positions we need, so they have an opportunity to make the team. I want to say camp body right now because we're still in April.
Right.
And that's where I'll keep it. But when we get into training camp where you and I are going to be up there,
right,
it's going to be one of those things where I'm hoping for the best. There's guys out there every single year that just totally shock you and become a stud.
Right.
It happens. Albert Wilson was the same guy for me. No one knew who this guy was. And I first started saying, watch this Albert Wilson kid. 4 years later, he finally goes and gets himself a big contract. But the thing was that nobody knew who he was coming into the season. So these guys can be that same dude, but I don't want to overhype them yet. Right. I don't want to do that yet. So I'm going to keep it very, very moderate and hope for the best with these guys.
With that said, let's get to the 2018 mock draft.
Let's do that.
What do you think, buddy?
I'm all for it, guys.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's some talk about Brett Veach trading up. I don't know what his mock draft is. He doesn't know what mine is. So we're just going to talk. He may say something totally different here. But I'm going to have the Chiefs stand at 54, and if this player is available, then we'll take him. I like Dante Jackson, corner out of LSU. There is some talk that he could go higher than 54, and if that's the case, I like the Chiefs to grab at 54. Cornerback, Isaiah Oliver out of Colorado, or Mike Hughes out of Central Florida. Dante Jackson is my preference at 54. Isaiah Oliver, cornerback out of Colorado, is my backup, and Mike Hughes out of Central Florida. Who do you got at 54, or what's your take on the Kansas City Chiefs 2018 draft?
You might not believe this, Shane. I promise you guys, you don't have to believe this, but I'm telling you the truth. We have not talked about this yet to this point. As far as the first pick in the second round for us, 54 overall, if we're going cornerback, Isaiah Oliver. That's the guy I picked as well. I think he's got a ton of upside. I think coming out of Colorado, I think he's the kind of kid that really stood out in Colorado. Big fish in a small pond. A lot of eyes were on him, and I think there's a reason for that. He is a stud, and I would definitely pick him if we're going to go that way. But if we're not going corner in that first pick, 54 overall, outside linebacker, I am big on Lorenzo Carter out of Georgia. Everyone's talked about this kid, but before they even heard about some of the big guys talking about him, I watched a couple of Georgia games this year, and I'm like, who is this kid? I didn't know who he was.
Right.
And I mean, this guy is getting to the quarterback consistently. And what do we know in Kansas City? What is our biggest problem? Even bigger than cornerback, inside linebacker, defensive line help, we have not been able to get to the quarterback. and taking some pressure off of Justin Houston and realizing that we know what D Ford is, and I'm not expecting anything out of D Ford for the remainder of his career, how long he's in Kansas City, hopefully just this last season. That's what I'm hoping for. But we need to get that young stud.
Right.
Just like we did with Justin Houston when Tomba was in his prime. Right. We still went and got that other guy. I think if Lorenzo Carter is available, even with these corners that we're big on like Oliver, I would rather go outside linebacker. Because to me, even losing Marcus Peters, I think you can go and fill that position a little bit easier than go and get yourself a stud outside linebacker.
I would be for Lorenzo Carter, but I don't think he's going to be there. His draft stock's rising like Patrick Mahomes' draft stock did at this time last year, except it's rising up the second round. He could be a late first round. I see a lot of mock drafts, him going late in the first or early in the second. If Lorenzo Carter's there, I'm going to take him, but I'm going by staying at 54. With that being said, going on into the third round, I like corner Anthony Everett out of Alabama. With our other third round pick, I like Bachina Nuwaso, outside linebacker out of USC. Anthony Everett, cornerback out of Alabama, love the guy, and Bachina Nuwaso, outside linebacker out of USC with our 2 third-round picks. What do you think about that? I think you address the outside linebacker position if you don't get Carter with Bachina Nuwaso out of USC.
I think you've done your homework on this for sure, guys. And let's be honest, the draft is a crapshoot. You know, we could be high on a guy and then they end up not panning out. We understand that fully, which is why I look into these guys. And I'm looking for key things. Are they smart? Are they talented? If you can be talented and not smart, and then you don't make it far into your career. Or you can be really smart but not enough talent to keep a long, sustaining NFL career. Right. So we need those guys that have a little bit of a combination. I'm guaranteeing that's what Brett Veach is looking at, because that's what Patrick Mahomes is about. And yes, we're going to keep talking about Patrick Mahomes because he's going to lead us to multiple Super Bowls.
Yeah!
Nevertheless, he has that IQ matched with his talent, and that's what we need at all positions as much as possible if you want to have sustained success in the NFL. See Patriots.
Exactly.
If you're looking at, I'm looking at it, I want to see them attack the safety position early in the draft. If we're looking at one of those third-round picks, I see a guy in Jesse Bates from Wake Forest. He's one of those guys they talking about that has a lot of talent, but is a very smart player and respectable. That's what I saw on there. He's a respectable red shirt when he went to Wake Forest. That's the kind of guy I would want to see. But I might shock you on this. My other third-round pick, I want to see them go on the offensive side, believe it or not. I've been a guy that says I want to go all defense, okay. But as I've really thought about it, and I've studied some other people's takes and opinions on this in the local area, I think the Chiefs need to address the offensive line. I think in the third round, if you're going to go offensive line, I think they need to go with Frank Ragnow, a center/guard at Arkansas. He's the kind of guy that I think the Chiefs could really use. Mitch Morris has been banged up a lot. Right. Guard has been a constant problem for the Chiefs for the longest time. So if they needed to move him to guard, he's able to do that because he did that in Arkansas. But I would like to see him get both positions, a chance at both positions. And in the mid-rounds, you're getting a steal because you're getting a guy you could build around for a decade. You can get a guy around him for a decade. You're talking about building an offense that Mahomes can trust. Knowing he's not going to have to deal with that upfront pressure constantly, he can ease himself into becoming an MVP caliber quarterback.
That'd be a good pick because of the loss of Zach Fulton. The Chiefs re-signed Jordan Devey, who played guard and center last year. Jordan Devey played most of the Washington Redskins game when Laurent Tardif got injured. Third play of the game, Jordan Devey came in and played the rest of the game and played well. Jordan Devey also started center for the Chiefs the last game of the season with Patrick Mahomes. Outside of him snapping the ball over Patrick Mahomes' head on the second series, Jordan Devey is a solid veteran that's on the team. And I think that guy you just mentioned,
Frank Ragnow, yeah.
Yeah, they could probably maybe compete together. It doesn't hurt to have that depth. That would be sweet as well. Later on, I would like Holton Hill, cornerback out of Texas. I know I'm going a lot of corners, but I feel like it needs to be addressed. And in the fifth round, or the last of the fourth, the second pick of the fourth, Quentin Moss, cornerback out of Stanford. Holton Hill out of Texas, Quentin Meeks out of Stanford. What do you think, Lance? What do you think?
Well, I think those are good moves. I like that you're going all cornerback, or you're having a cornerback-heavy draft, because right. I think it never hurts to have as many cornerbacks as you can possibly have. Especially, like I said, losing a star like Marcus Peters, you're going to have to fill that role, and you don't want to put a lot of pressure on these young guys. So adding depth is key. I'm going to go a different position, though, because, again, we're talking about up front, like I just said about the offensive line. But on the flip side, I'm talking about the defensive line now. What is the biggest problem the Chiefs have had outside of not being able to get to the quarterback? Is the fact that teams can run all over us. It's been killing us for years. And so I want to go with a guy by the name of B.J. Hill, a defensive tackle out of NC State. They talk about how athletically gifted this guy is, and not only that, again, with the smartness, he has a high IQ, and this guy is a very, they talk about it from the combine, which I'm not a big combine guy in, but all season long they talk about how this guy was a run stuffer. He's the kind of guy that can change a defense. He comes from a rough, rugged style defense. He plays a lot of 3-4, and he's the kind of guy I think that can make an immediate difference on this defense. Coming in day one and making an impact as a mid to late round pick kind of guy. I think he's that kind of guy, and I am very confident. I watched some film on him today, and I think he's that guy. If I had a pick, he's my guy.
Right. That definitely, he would compete with the names of the free agents that I mentioned. The Chiefs signed with Stephon Charles and Xavier Williams. That would be a definitely good pick to play, good pick to have on the team. All right, we're expecting a lot from these second and third round picks. You know, we need to get to this. We're expecting a lot from these second and third rounders to come in and play. With that being said, and I know we touched on this on our free agents show 6 weeks ago, we are expecting, or like I said, these guys to come in and play, which opens the door, or what needs to happen is Tano Passanio needs to be a part of this team. If the Chiefs do not, I know he's going to be a part of this team because he's a project, but he needs to be the man to challenge D. Ford, Daddy Nicholas. If we get Carter, what's
Lorenzo Carter?
If the Chiefs get Lorenzo Carter, I think that changes everything with Tano Passanio. You can wait to develop him, and maybe he can be Justin Houston's replacement later on. But if the Chiefs get corners, and if they don't get Pacina and Wasso, then Passanio has to be the man to step up, because we're depending a lot on these defensive players. We need Tano Passanio to play outside linebacker and challenge D. Ford.
Yeah, I agree. I think Passanio is going to get his opportunity. I definitely do. I don't know what to expect from him at this point, because he has raw talent, and that is pretty much it. We know that he had raw talent in college.
He had 2 sacks last year.
And as soon as they drafted him, a lot of people were shocked because they didn't think he was a complete football player yet. And going into his second season now, we still feel the same way. I don't really know what he's going to bring to the table. I think that if he gets himself in gear to where he understands the game a little bit better, he's going to become a deadly type of player, because he is humongous, he's long, and he can get to the quarterback. He's that kind of guy. But I still believe, even with that considered, if we're still looking at that with the highest potential, you still need to go and get better players. That's why I'm still big on Lorenzo Carter if he were available. In fact, I think it's a common sense that if Lorenzo Carter type of guy was sitting there at 54, which I think the Chiefs are going to stay pat, I think that you have to go with him. You'd be nuts not to, because we also don't even know what the future in Kansas City is for Justin Houston.
Right.
Is he going to even make it through the whole season? We don't know what he's going to be. With that contract and his lack of production, as much as I love Justin, we don't know how much longer he's got in Kansas City. So I think there's a lot of things in the air with these guys we currently have. You need to fill those roles. And I think the Chiefs are going to attack it with position of need. I think they're going to definitely go for positions of need. But with the offense taking the front now, with knowing this offense is going to score a lot of points, I think we're all confidently believing that the defense doesn't have as much pressure on them going into this season. It isn't going to have to be the defense leading us like they had for the last few seasons. It's going to be the offense leading it. The defense needs to be complementary to what the offense leads them through. So I'm believing a lot of young guys on this defense are going to make mistakes. They're going to make their way through the league, and I think they're going to show what they're capable of with their talent and IQ, so the pressure isn't on them, and I'm good with Passanio getting a lot of play this year. I just want to make sure the Chiefs attack the middle rounds with guys that are going to get a lot of playing time, because the defense is so thin. These guys are getting playing time. Make sure you're getting those guys that are ready for it.
If the Chiefs trade up to 32 or 33 or 34, somewhere in the early Friday, the second round, excuse me, for Lorenzo Carter, would you be unhappy to lose these third and fourth round picks?
Absolutely not. The reason why is because I think he's a franchise-changing type of player, type of talent. If you watch any film on this guy, you see that he is consistent in his attack. It isn't like first quarter he's out there getting the quarterback and then he disappears for 3 quarters. He's not that kind of guy. He's consistent in his approach. Granted, playing in the SEC, you have a lot of talent around you, so it's easier for him because the offensive line has to respect other pieces. But on the same regard, you're talking about this Chiefs defense has a lot of pieces of need still, but there's talent on this defense. So the offenses that we go against are going to have to respect the guys that are currently on this roster. You add a Lorenzo Carter to that, and you're looking at a guy who can consistently get to the quarterback, and I wouldn't be shocked if he gets over 10 sacks in his rookie season. So to answer your question, I would not be upset. Now, I wouldn't like to see them give up more picks than they already have, but even with giving up the picks we did in the previous year, what did we end up getting in return? Patrick freaking Mahomes. So if we get a Lorenzo Carter on the other side that can be that type of player on the defensive side, what did we really lose?
Right.
Way to think about it, man.
Heck yeah. You and my homie from Sports Management Worldwide, Nick Gillespie, I want to send shouts to him. You both are big Lorenzo Carter fans.
Nick's making me look smart. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
But this is something I want to address. I want to say too, because I want to send some shouts to Nick Gillespie for always being the man, giving me some inside information. I want to send some shouts to Pat Mahomes Sr. Big fan of my stuff. I had a chance to meet him for the playoff game, and he hung out with us for a great time. I shook his hand and I said, "Thank you, Pat, for being a fan of my stuff." And he said, "Hey, man, no problem." My mom and dad never miss a Shaggy Shane Kansas City Chiefs post game. So with that being said, I want to send shouts to Pat Mahomes Sr., his little sister Tanisha, Pat Mahomes' girlfriend, Trisha Myers. You guys kick ass. I want to send shouts to everybody who watches me and Lance, who watches all my stuff throughout the season. This mock draft has a heavy Lorenzo Carter flavor.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, man.
Do you think, I mean, our planets lined up last year. A year ago today, our planets lined up. I know I was champion of Patrick Mahomes. You wanted Deshaun Watson, but I think you were equally as happy for Patrick Mahomes.
Would have gladly taken either one. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, I agree, man. And I feel the same way with Shane. Let me just set the record straight. Everybody that comments on the videos and everything, Shane's a little more interactive on there than even I am sometimes. I do want to set the record straight. It really does mean a lot. First of all, that Shane even allows me to come on here and run my mouth and act like I know what I'm talking about. Thank you for that, brother. But thank all of you guys for supporting this. It means a lot when I see people post on there. I can't wait for the video. It means a lot when you guys are watching the Rise of Mahomes and sharing it. Guys, that means a lot to us because this is fun, but we also this is something real to us. This isn't just a little hobby we have.
Right.
We live and breathe Chiefs. And we're ready to see this team take the next step, and for the Mahomes family to be in such support of Shane and this show. Thank you guys. It really means a lot. And the future of this team, I believe, and Shane believes, is bright. And we wouldn't waste our time doing this if we didn't feel like this team had the same feeling and they didn't share the same sentiment and that they're going to do everything in their power to take it to the next level. So we may not agree with every move they make, and trust me, I don't. But at the same time, I love this team, and I think that they're on their way to changing the infrastructure and the history, quite frankly, of where this team has been for so long. And I could not be more excited to be alive during this era. Excellent,
excellent. And before we wrap up the show, are you concerned at all about Sammy Watkins saying he's reptilian?
You know, I'm so glad we talked. I was afraid you were going to forget about this. I saw him tweeting this stuff, and I'm sitting there thinking, is he just trolling us, or is he serious? And you know what? I came to a conclusion, I don't care. It's hilarious. So I just started laughing. I quoted it. I was like, what the hell are you talking about, Sammy? I think he's just an entertaining type of personality, and I love that because I think guys like him and Chris Jones will just mesh so well, and they're going to be a soundbite for years to come, man. So I can't wait. Sammy, don't stop doing what you're doing, brother. Thank you for that, man. It means a lot.
With that being said, that is Shaggy Shane's second annual Kansas City Chiefs mock draft. Lance and I will be back later on throughout the year. We will definitely let you guys know what's going on in training camp in July, but we'll probably get together sometime before that.
Whatever.
When more Kansas City Chiefs news breaks. Thank you all. You guys all kick ass. Let's see what happens. I'm still going to go with Dante Jackson or Isaiah Oliver with our first pick, unless we trade up to get Carter on the outside. Trust in Brett Veach. Trust me. Trust in Brett Veach. We've talked to him off the record for 5 minutes last year in training camp when he went way out of his way to talk to us. The man is a genius. He knows his stuff. Yep. You got anything you want to add to that?
That's it, man. You said it for me. You said it all perfectly. Thank you for that, Shane.
See you all soon. Once again, this is Shaggy Shane with Lance Twidwell. Until next time, go Chiefs.